Hi, hello. Hi, Pumpkin. I already see you on stream, even though we're literally in the in Minecraft together. Oh, Misty's live. Wonderful. All right, I don't got much. Let's get us started. It's currently night. Hold on, let me sleep, and then I can unmute myself and undeafen self. Hi, Pumpkin. That is the wrong toggle. Hi, Pumpkin. And Penguin. Did Penguin log off? Oh, Penguin's still here. They left the VC at some point, apparently. I think they were going to... Is Lilac back? I know they were going to go do something. Yeah. Mysteria, aka Misty. Yeah. Oh, okay. While we're waiting on them to join back in the call, I'm gonna go back to the end, because while I was editing, I want rice, or fried rice, while I was editing today, because I literally just posted episode 1 minutes ago. I realized I left rice seeds in one of the chests. And I could really use that. Also, I have stream music loud. Hold on, let me fix that. I do not need Modrinth open in this moment. No. There we go. I still have game muted, so nobody heard you at all. Need clear?
Do you by chance have an anvil anywhere?
Oh.
Oh well. My wings shall be healed later then.
There's an anvil back at the village, and there's also an anvil holding up the egg. The dragon egg.
Yeah, I ain't gonna destroy that. That's a lot of effort. Oh. That's rough, buddy.
Unless they're in automatic response.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah?
Yeah. You right there, bud?
I was going too fast, and then it slowed down. Didn't slow down enough when I went to go land at the iron farm.
You do be like that.
I really need to make a better farm for that. Penguin, did you ever get to moving the fallen endership chests, or are they still back at the city?
Oh, I got a pig.
No, I didn't, because I had completely forgot about that.
Alright, good. I left rice seeds there, and I realized that in editing, and I kinda want them, so I'm running back for that real quick.
Oh, okay. So...
Rice.
Wait,
Rice
so wait,
seeds.
was that base that we met
cabbage.
up at, yours?
Yes. And I'll take all that.
Got it. Are you trying to get fried rice?
Yes, that is my end goal.
Yeah, because I saw the egg farm, and I was actually going to ask you if I could possibly
Yeah, steal a couple chickens if you want. Or, steal some eggs would actually be easier. Yeah, go ahead.
There's so many eggs.
Because I was AFK quite a few times. I can't remember what for, but I did go AFK several times after I built that.
It would be wildly unfortunate if the poultry man went on the server.
Wait. Do you think we have a head plugin. Do you think they have custom heads for the other chickens? I would think not, but it'd be cool if they did.
Maybe? Also, I'm getting a head collection at this point. A lot of heads. Shoulder head.
How does one get rice? Because I assume you can't plant rice?
Yeah, you can.
You have to get... Okay.
You just pop it in water.
Oh, okay,
Like,
okay. I have never used Farmer's Delight.
Well, if you ever played on the other server...
Meh. I don't care about create. I do not like automation.
Use the create part of it. It has like 100 other mods on it.
Too many mods. Too many. Too much to do. I'm just gonna play something else. It's overwhelmed. No. I am a particular person, unfortunately. There's one reason Passion SMP exists, and it's because I'm the kind of person where if something doesn't exist that I want, I'm just gonna make it myself. I didn't even realize how much the noodle soup gives. God damn. I really want to make a rice roll medley, though. I don't even care if I, like, actually want to eat it. I just want to make a cute little kitchen in whatever starter home I make, and then just pop one down as decoration. Pumpkin, I had just came up with this idea on the fly. If we're continuing you living in my basement thing, what if we make, like, a more modern-esque house, or, like, a split-level house, and then you're still technically in basement, and then we can make you a kitchen. There's a stuffed pumpkin you could put down, and I just want to give you a stuffed pumpkin.
I'm aware. I love the stuffed pumpkin. It does wonders. Also, you have to place it down and then go at it with holes.
Ooh. Noted.
It gives you, like, 4 or 6 holes per pumpkin. I don't remember. But they're really nice, and they do a lot of saturation.
While I'm hanging out, I might as well get an actual mine shaft going so we can go netherite mining.
Making sure I got food, my pickaxe.
I want blocks. Oh, I don't have a lot of blocks. I'm in a predicament. I don't want to have to move the netherite mine shaft later, so I'm gonna attempt to expand the spawn portal, like the platform that it's on. So I don't so we can have a somewhat idea of what I'm gonna do later. And then we can place the netherite mine accordingly.
Nice.
Why are there a bunch of chickens in the nether? They're just casually going through the portal.
Ooh.
Don't ask? Okay, noted. And then 1, 2, 3, but no! Lag. Do one more out. Where are you centered? You're centered. Okay, one out this way. I'm gonna take this. Spawn portal's gonna be broken for a second. Don't come through, please. I am making it a 3 wide.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just planting cherry trees in your house.
House? Yep.
Okay, so when are we going in-busting, or not in-busting, but netherite mining now, or...
I'm getting it ready. I'm expanding the platform that's there for the portal right now, so I don't have to move the netherite mine later.
Okay.
So, and then I'm gonna start digging
dig
it down.
In the ground, pop a bed down, and leave, and then I kind of got swarmed. So.
So again, like I mentioned, I believe we just have like a habit of just scaring Misty because I've done it like 3 times.
Oh no! I know I've done it technically 3 times, but officially twice. Because I left that donkey head, and then we got a reaction from chat, but I'm not sure if that was a scare, perhaps. I have doubts that was a scare.
More of a startle, I would say.
Possibly? I don't know.
Her reaction was, I think somebody's trying to call me an ass.
It was. That's what her reaction was. I don't know.
But she could have, like, not spoken in chat, and it did jump scare her, not expecting it. I don't know. So, officially twice. Perhaps thrice.
Right. I'm taking these sheep down off the tower.
Okay. I
Just
need
because
that tool.
they're all just stacked there, and I want them to grow back their wool.
Ah, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure they've been standing with racing foot them that whole time. So
Yeah, probably. And I've been there
I'm
for
pretty
quite
sure-
a while because of villagers.
So I'm pretty sure once you stack them, it breaks the... Yeah. I think once you stack them, it breaks their AI.
Sounds about right. Do this. And we can fix up this bad boy later. But for now, it's gonna be a mismatched, cobbled thing of a platform. That is... Oh, wait. What? What? You aligned correctly, but you not.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what I did. I see what I did. Am I okay? Yeah, I'm okay with oval. Let's go oval.
How many beds do we want?
Whatever amount you
you're
want to bring, I
just-
guess. I was just
Yeah,
planning on
you're-
drilling.
Yeah. So that's fully for me. Okay, so I think a stack of wool should be good. 'Cause you get so much from shearing them instead of killing them.
Yeah. This. Watch my 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oop.
You're at the spawn nether area.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll meet you there.
And then we'll make the netherite mine along the west side of
Am I
the
able to come
platform.
through yet?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, I'll be right back because I
One.
think someone's calling me. So I'll be right
Okay.
back.
There we go, right here. Perfect. I'm gonna leave area in case for later. And staircase time. Peekaboo.
Peekaboo.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo. We're just gonna slowly mine this down. Probably gonna have to build up a bit because of how high up we are, but...
It's fine.
Yeah, already. Lovely. Is that a Among Us trap playing right now? Trap remix? I think that is. Yes, that is. Let me turn that up. I always have my music so quiet for streams, but that's because it's loud on my end. You're just gonna vibe.
Yeah.
Not helping.
I don't have wings.
You can't place blocks when you don't have wings.
I could, but you know me.
I thought I did. Oh, never mind. You're right. You're right. Okay.
That's exactly what
Karma.
I would do. Right there. Right there. Uh-huh.
Yep. Armor. Okay. I get it. I get it. I get it. Oh, jeez. Yeah, you know what? Probably best you don't. Because I can see down to the lava, as in the lava level for the bottom of the netherworld.
Of the netherworld.
I would say ocean level, but that doesn't... Lava ocean level, I guess, applies. Because it's the same idea, it's just lava instead of ocean.
Oh, lava level.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Okay, Y69. 58. If that is 53 or 54. 52? 11 out.
Who placed the lava at the Woodland Mansion?
We did like 2 days ago, right? Yeah, it is extremely bad.
We did fire, not lava, I thought.
I placed one lava bucket somewhere because you were telling me, no, don't put the lava bucket down, I'm still in here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good thing I was literally just editing that clip this morning. I'm amazed I had like I had 8 hours of footage from the first day and like 10 total in the past week, and I managed to get it down to about an hour's worth of a video.
Which way did y'all go? Cobble?
West of the spawn portal.
Cobble or netherrack path?
Neither of you went down.
Oh, I see the stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello.
Blonde enough not to notice it in original.
Oh, we have a warp forest right here? Cool.
Yeah, because where me and Racing entered.
Okay.
Because I believe...
Trying to see...
Yeah, literally
where
like,
did
right
I want?
that way. Right that way is where me and Racing entered. Just to our...
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I almost looked the Enderman straight in the eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, to our southeast is where me and Racing entered.
Oh.
We're down to 52. Do you want me to keep digging down?
Yes. I was just making it the same across the entire thing.
Oh,
You're one down too many as well.
Yeah, I see.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
But there's
7.
a massive lava lake right there. Because
We could run for
hatch.
gravel or sand? Perhaps?
If we
Or
go
very
this
slowly
way,
take it with
if we go
netherrack?
this way. If we
But
go
it doesn't
this
look
way.
nice.
To have a bend? Well,
Yeah, we could go at that with gravel. I believe.
I would not put past him to somehow send us into a pit of lava.
We are less than like 10 blocks away from normal land if we go to our left.
Oh, I forgot. Free cam. Okay. I believe. Wait, I got an insane person idea. Okay.
He is a man with a dream.
We're gonna go through this long form. I'm gonna run over here and then staircase it.
Okay.
What if instead of going straight into the lava, we just bridge it to connect over to the warp force here, because we are probably gonna want that access anyway, and then dig into the actual ground over here.
Do you want me to block off that lava up there?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I just see an Enderman under the lava. Probably in a cave, but it's just funny anyway.
To be honest, I would probably be better at bridging.
That's fine.
If this was...
It doesn't need to be fast, it just needs to work.
I would be so much better at bridging.
Okay, the lava should be disappearing in a bit. Okay, I'll bridge the other two pathways.
Like, I
just gotta wait for the lava. Apparently lava flow is faster here. Doesn't seem like that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely way faster.
I don't know, it's just...
It definitely feels faster when you're mining, and all of a sudden you're just getting brushed by lava.
Well,
yeah. Let me add some rails for safety. How do I only have one extra stack of netherrack? Well, I've been building most of the time, not mining, I guess. That'd be why.
We going down to Y15 or 16?
12.
15.
Or, 14 I think should be good.
Okay. Well, I just know 15 is like the optimal range, but I don't know what...
It's between 13 and 15.
Okay, then yeah, we'll go to 14.
I personally have better luck on level 15, but that's just my own.
Then I can bring it
I'm
down
thinking
to 15
14 so we don't miss the ones that would be in the floor. And it's easier... I feel like it's easier to mine up than it is down. Or mine, like, above you than it is below. Because below you just shouldn't be falling a lot.
I don't know. Are you cleaning up the roof? Because I think I'm doing this where you hit your head.
Yeah, I'm lengthening it. Or widening it. That would be a word. YouTube music has like 0 volume normalization. There we go. And the one setting that kinda does it.
To have actual normalization.
I can hope. And the one setting that kinda does it, I already have turned on, and I don't help none. It really doesn't help. I listen to a wide variety of year of published songs. So going from 1920s swing to modern music is a huge volume difference.
Yeah.
Well, they were recorded differently, so...
Yeah.
Oh,
what I'm saying is other platforms will actually recognize that and try and help and adjust it.
13.
YouTube music, you're on your own. Fuck you.
Wait.
Oh yeah, this is 14.
I just dug low.
Where are my chunks? Oh, we're right at chunk border. Fantastic. I'm going this way then. Ooh, chunk border here. Okay.
You all down there?
Yep, we're all good. Hello, lava. Goodbye. Pool. That's a pool. Wonderful.
I got most of the first part of the walls in.
How am I immediately finding, like, every piece of lava possible?
Because
we're above a massive lava ravine.
That's fair.
But don't dig to your right, Pumpkin. Right, not left.
I somehow miss and don't miss netherite mining. It's like, oh, I remember doing this for hours. I don't want to do it ever again.
True.
It's like my favorite thing to do. I don't know why. I think it's because it's so mindless.
Genuine question, but have you ever thought of making a netherite shop?
Huh?
Make a netherite shop. The service others don't really want to do. Make backup netherite gear.
True.
Oh, I never named my shovel! How dare I?
It's okay.
I remember
dig with
what my
potatoes
last one
gonna
was.
be made on this server.
I need to get like an official mine shaft going for you. Because there just kinda isn't one.
Oh, I need to go back.
Oh, yay, nice. I think I'm the first one to find netherite, and it's a 3 vein.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
I had to go back up to the overworld.
how many? 2. I got 2 forbidden cinnamon rolls.
Let's go. Let me drop that.
And I've encountered another lava pool. Wonderful.
Yeah.
I might be out of here quick, because I already got my other ingot. I might go out.
Oh, that's more of the damn pool.
We definitely need to get
let me bed bomb without my chest plate on.
No, don't. Said don't.
I need to make it.
I'm just gonna casually die for a little bit, don't mind me. I can tough it out, there we go. I think the funniest part about me saying that sentence is I genuinely share that sentiment in real life. It's like, I'm in pain, let me just die for a little bit and then I'll be better. I haven't really shared that fact with the new members. I struggle with feeling pain. That's what the mutation CIP thing is. That's why I have that username at all. Yippee.
I struggle with regulating emotions.
Real. The struggling with feeling pain thing is like cerebral insensitivity to pain, hence the CIP, I think. It's fun. I can't manage body temperature for the life of me.
I haven't gone and gotten tested, but I think I may or may not actually feel emotions, and I've just been faking it this whole time.
The real. Like second guessing, am I feeling this, or do I think I am? Kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because I'm to the point of, like, I really don't feel anything.
Like blank slate or more dissociation?
A mix. Mostly blank slate, not really a disassociation.
Yeah.
I actually need, like, I believe it's called, like, psychopathy or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah. I think psychopaths can tend to have that. Or sociopaths, something along those lines. Although
It's a bad
media
law.
has definitely given a bad portrayal of that.
Yeah.
Like, some of the, like, most interesting people I have met have been sociopaths. And honestly, they care a lot more than people with actual empathy. Which is interesting. I did a study on it in high school. I don't think I ever told you that.
No, I don't think you did. I knew you were in a criminology
for-
class, but...
Yeah, it was because of the criminal law and criminology class.
I feel like I remember you talking about it, but I don't think I connected that you were actually doing it for an assignment.
Yeah.
Oh, there's lava
more
right
lava.
above me. Please help.
Uh-oh. I literally just
Please
need one
reject
more piece, then I
me.
could get another right pickaxe to get myself started. And help
Reject
slowly get the
me.
rest of the cinnamon rolls I need. I miss my hammers.
I miss my wife
That
too.
wasn't fun.
I miss her a lot. I'll be back. Should turn that sound alert back on.
You should.
Oh.
I miss it.
You miss your wife. You miss your wife.
I do miss my wife. She lives so far away.
I feel like you would apply that audio to like so many drama shows where it's like they're not married, but they're like platonic people who act like they're married. I miss my wife, Dales. I miss her a lot. I'll be back.
That's me and my one friend. You know who I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
God, I feel like I'm listening to a kid and a dad talk.
Wait, what?
Wait,
Said I
wait,
feel
which
like
one's
I'm
the dad?
listening in on a kid and a dad talk. Oh, he's the dad. You're the kid.
That's fair. I tend to be the dad
It's
in the
really
friend
funny
group.
you say that.
Funny
Yeah.
enough, we're exes and best friends, so...
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We were both called the dads of the friend group for like our hot.
Yup. I think we both still kinda are the respective dads of our respected friend group. I have been straight up texted by one of my best friends, Dad, I'm high, and my first response was not even a question that I was being called Dad. I immediately checked in on, are you safe? Are you okay with people? Are you safe? Are you good?
Are
What
you
is the
okay with
situation
people?
here? Are you like with okay people that this is safe to do this with? Yeah, are you in a safe situation?
Yeah.
I like the slip
mean-
up of, are you okay with people?
Yeah.
Is
I
that not like
never
the
said I'm okay with
normal-
words.
Is that not the normal reaction?
Most people
Well, the thing is,
don't get
I was just like
concerned.
randomly
They're just
called
like,
dad, but I
yeah,
didn't even
okay.
question that. I immediately jumped to a dad response. Where am I? Where is stairwell?
Ooh, we should do like statistic roulette or like I believe. Is it
Ooh, yeah, I know what you're
statistic
talking
roulette?
about. Yeah.
I know I'll definitely.
I
went
should have
on
done that last
how many
season.
beds have you bombed? Or
I already
like,
need to
split it, or-
repair my pickaxe.
I am down.
I mean,
to
there's a bunch of nether
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am down to
quartz
5
everywhere.
beds.
I don't know I want to spawn when I need to go to Stronghold. In order to make this easier, I'm gonna heighten the tunnel to the Stronghold, so we can fly through it until I get it prop.
Nice.
That's a piece of lava.
Racing just. I don't have invisible glass. So I just use glass. I can't help in there.
It's the borderless resource pack we have.
Yeah, I don't use it. I've never seen the appeal for borderless glass. Like, I get it in some situations.
I don't like the
but,
tile look on certain things. I like
Oh,
it
well,
in...
I have a connected textures one. That's what I use. That's... Because I like that, the look of that better.
Real. Yeah. Let me see... Resource packs, can you load? Thank you. I like doing glass or waterfalls sometimes, so that's helpful for that. I think that's, and I did a ghost ship for Lilac last season, so it's been helpful for that.
Yeah, you showed me that.
Yeah. And it looks absolutely horrible if you turn on the tiles. Because then any sort of gradient or texture on that ship just disappears and it looks horrible.
Oh, I thought it looked good, even with the tiles, but...
How do I turn on chunks?
F3G.
F3 plus G.
I see, thank you.
Yeah, I can't turn on pie chart in this version.
I do F3 and 1. Or F3, well, and then click 1
Yeah,
while
it's
I'm holding
F3
F3.
1, but in the older versions, it's just Shift F3 and it turns on pie chart. I can't do F3
I
plus
could
1.
never get the shift to work in old versions. I always relied on 1. And if I can't do that, then I just don't use it.
Yeah, I just can't use pie chart in this version, in newer versions, which is kind of sad. But it doesn't bother me too much.
I mean, it is still available, but yeah.
How do I turn on where I can see how much durability is left on something?
F3 plus
F3H.
I thought it was B. What is B?
B is hitboxes.
Thank you.
I said it's so
Crack open a root beer.
You did. Wait, how
I
was
still
it?
have those
It
10
was...
happy gas. I need to start distributing that.
I managed to find one the other day. I went for some bone blocks, I think for bone meal.
I want to distribute the ones I got. How did I get another quartz ore? Hello?
Pumpkin, have I bought a new Castle Crasher yet for Steam?
No.
If I buy you Castle Crasher for Steam, can we play? I would love to play the- I would love to get you through the game just so I can play hardcore mode with you.
What is Castle Crashers?
It's a pretty fun little old game.
It's
Like,
a bit of an older one, but seriously fun. And they have a great soundtrack. If you've heard either Space Pirates or Force Entrance are the main ones that people know. J-Schlatt's, like, goat is actually inspired from one of the pets you get in the game. Yeah, Rammy.
Speaking of pirates, I forgot I had pirate speak on. And I can't figure out how to turn it off.
Language.
I can't help you with that.
Yeah, I can't figure out which button that is, so I'm just kind of rolling with it.
Options,
I'm gonna figure it out
and then language.
Yeah, I am trying to figure out the menu.
The options button and then the language button.
Okay.
Or if you log out, you can just click the world button.
Because I made your mod pack, you shouldn't have, like, sodium affecting a bunch of stuff. Or the sodium affects video settings, not language.
No. I changed it in my language a while ago.
Oh,
when I was playing on the other server.
Wait, okay, hold on. Let me turn on pirate speak, and then I'll find which one is language, or what language is called.
It's gonna be fun just hearing you try and recreate it.
Pirate. I have to find it first.
It's one of the top.
Pirate speak, 7 C's done. I like the lolcat language though, because Warden's like blue cat or something. It's lingo.
It's lingo? Okay.
It's lingo. Something kind of funny. So, we've been getting stuff from my grandma. She's not passed yet, but we are, like, distributing stuff because she's a bit of a hoarder. And so, I get to say, I have these, like, restaurant Chinese bowls that I got from her. And so, every time I get to say, oh, I got these from my grandma, I have to explain my grandma is just an old white woman from Colorado. You said brand name. Is that just a us thing? Or is that...
Which thing?
Okay, I might cut that clip.
I'm confused, huh?
Very.
A specific brand name that's apparently just a very local chain.
Oh.
I will
I'm
cut
too
later.
dense to realize.
Yeah, it's interesting finding out how many chains that I think are chains, but are just actually local brands. Why am I still attacking Enderman? My pickaxe is healed.
That's my pickaxe. My armor. Should I upgrade my axe or should I upgrade my sword?
Probably sword first, because that'll help with the Enderman farm. And repairing items until you can upgrade the axe.
Well, I could just go get one more piece of netherrack. I'll just find another piece or netherite. And then I don't have to worry about picking.
Molten rock.
Is that magma?
Yeah. And then, what do you think netherite is?
Shiny bar?
No. Treasure of Davy Jones.
You know what, yeah. I really want the pirate speak to call the ancient debris forbidden cinnamon rolls. I really want it to be that. I doubt it is. Would that be so funny?
That sounds like more of a Nyan
Davy Jones
thing.
Oh. I thought the netherite was called that, not the ancient debris.
Ancient debris, netherite, same thing, different concept.
No, it's not. Netherite, unless you make it into a block, you can't place that.
And it makes the other.
But you can't take the other and make the one. You can turn an orange juice. You can turn an orange into orange juice. You can't turn an orange juice into an orange. Not the original orange, anyhow. You could certainly put it in a mold, but it is still not an orange again.
No, it totally is an orange.
There's orange. Yeah. It's still an orange, just deconstructed.
And you can't reconstruct it, is my point.
Charge it for $100.
I guess more accurately, you can mash up a banana, but you can't make that banana a banana again.
Technically, it's still a banana, just deconstructed.
Yeah, so just upcharge it for $100 and anybody can buy it.
Or just freeze dry it and sell it for $5 an ounce.
Real.
Oh my god, no. At my work, we have freeze-dried banana slices. I tried them the other day.
They're
pretty
really
good,
in my
but
opinion.
not worth $5 a package.
I would absolutely, if I had the money to spare.
Hey, watch out.
Hi.
Fighting so
if
aggressively.
If I have the money to spare in the future, I would absolutely get a freeze dryer just so I could make my own strawberries and bananas. Honestly.
Fair. Do you want me to send you some freeze-dried bananas? They're on sale right now.
Yes.
If I want to get one.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'll send you some.
Like,
Oh, something
we
fun.
also
Buy it where
have-
you live?
Huh?
Can you not buy it where he lives?
I live in a different
Yeah,
place than him.
he's in a different state. So
No,
it's
I
cheaper
mean-
over there.
Oh, I was...
Yeah, I live
Yeah.
in a place where it's a lot cheaper than he.
So it's just cheaper for you to go buy it and send it to him than for him to just go
Yeah.
buy it?
Probably, honestly.
That's-
I could see
Because it's
a bag
local.
of freeze-dried banana chips going for 5 or above where I'm at. Because I'm deep in city.
The only reason they were 5 is because we were short in stock on them for a while, but they went down to like $2.99, and now they're on sale. Buy one get one.
Ooh, yeah,
I
absolutely,
need to
please.
go get mango.
Oh, also, mangoes are on sale for like $2 right now. For like
Yes!
Oh, thank you for letting
Also,
me know
something
that.
fun I learned. I'm lucky enough that one of my aunts lives in Hawaii, so one time we visited her for my uncle's remembrance, and we had gone back in Maui, I believe, the island of Maui. There's the Honolulu Trail. Or, I think that's correct. But there's this long winding back roads that goes to this kind of touristy spot, and along those back roads, it was very heavy traffic when we were there. And we stopped out at this lady's house to avoid some people that were being real assholes and absolutely tailgating us. So we stopped at this house, and this lady had homemade dried mangoes. And oh my god, if there's anything on my bucket list, it's those. Like, we're talking fresh dried mangoes. And I tried to get my aunt, who's been the same aunt who lives in Hawaii. She's been visiting a lot, and so one of the times when she came back, I asked, hey, could you bring some dried mangoes back? Apparently that's one of the few things you're not, like, absolutely not allowed to bring back from Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
You are just not allowed to take those on.
Can't go on planes. It's for,
Yeah.
like, in case a
You
bug
can
is
absolutely
on
bring
them and it's
pineapple, but not
invasive.
mango.
Specific bugs, specific things.
Yeah.
It's interesting how things.
No dried mango will ever compare to that one old lady on the side of the road.
Listen, man, it's always the old ladies on the side of the road
Yes!
stuff on fresh food.
Out of
Absolutely.
context, that sounds like you're calling the old lady a dried mango.
It will be a compliment then, because her dried mangoes are like Gordon Ramsay tier, absolutely delicious food. That was so good. It's just, like, she just wrapped it up in a little plastic container that was probably bought in bulk. You know when that's the good shit.
Right.
Oh my god, there's a farmer's market.
I don't
that
like
just
travel,
opened
but I
up
would travel
near me.
back to Hawaii just for those. And do nothing else. I have done an 8-hour round trip for a burrito. I will take a 10-hour round trip flight to Hawaii just so I can get these mangoes.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. I need to take like a 13-hour trip up there to like
Did
hit a
Racing
certain
yoink my
town.
fucking template?
Huh?
Bro, where did it go? Is it still in the bottle?
Oh, the
Where's
smithing
bottle?
template?
Yeah, no, I found it.
Oh, good.
I was like, did Racing yoink it or something? Because I know I had my stuff placed down, and we were all just, when we were working on the,
Creeper farm?
Iron farm.
Oh,
Yeah, or
oh,
creeper
you got an
farm,
iron
sorry.
farm going? Oh,
No, the creeper farm. I was reading my waypoint, and I was hovering on the iron farm,
ah, gotcha.
and not the creeper farm. Bro, who took
Ooh, something I want to go do
the
today.
redstone block?
While I was exploring, I found an ocean temple. Like, not the Guardian one. I'm talking a desert temple that's been retextured for the ocean.
Ah, so one
But
of
the
my
problem
friends
is,
got
I
it.
would have gone into it, except every single drown that spawns in them has a turtle helmet and a trident. So yeah,
on
but
you
at that
on
point I didn't even have the Enderman farm up, so I'm like, yeah, no. I had shit
I'll join
armor.
you.
I was not doing that. Alrighty. I have the... I don't have it marked, but I know exactly where it is. It's not too far from spawn. Like, maybe 500 out, a little northwest.
Hey, at least on this server I can actually follow coordinates this time. Or north, northwest.
Go north.
Go east. Or, wait, my bad. Go west.
Yeah, I'm not good with my west and east. No, not my rockets! Rockets! Somehow I've
Oh,
managed to
God.
keep
I
up with
need to,
left and
like-
right, but north and south is a little easier. West and east, no. I will always fuck those up. Every time, without fail.
1, 2, 3, 4.
It was only like some years ago I stopped fucking up west and east coast. And that should have been easy.
Same.
Okay, well I made a... Yeah, that's fine. I made a... Yes, I can count.
Hey, Mew.
Yes.
When I get my car, can I kidnap you and take you on a, like, road trip?
Hell yes.
Hell yeah. Cool.
Just give me a heads up
There's a
so I can
very specific
adjust plans.
restaurant. Obviously. But there's, like, a restaurant that I've been wanting to take you to. It's a bit of a drive.
I'm down for a drive.
Obviously,
I love
it's
long
gonna have
drives.
to be a
What the
bit of a
fuck are you
drive.
doing out here?
Good
Why are you all the way out here?
question.
But I think you would like it.
I know Pumpkin's trying to be the cryptid, but Racecar has very quickly become our cryptid. You never
Oh,
know
thank
what
you.
the hell
You're
he's
dropping
doing
me
on the
off the turtle
server, and he's
soup.
just quietly muted all the time.
Wait,
He comes and goes as
Oh.
he pleases.
Yeah, that
I
checks.
think if Racecar logged in with a Herobrine skin one day, no one would question it. Not a single person would
Oh,
question it
oops.
at all.
Oops, yo, I was on my alt.
Yup. Every single Herobrine appearance is actually just Racecar. You're just feeling silly that day, that's it. Oh, lag. How long am I gonna be till I disconnect? Is my... Oh. On the plus side, my stream
I
didn't
won.
crash, but I did.
No! I need you to know! I'm laughing so hard. I've never seen someone leave the game, or like anything like that, so it just says mutation CIP bailed ship. And then when you join it said joined the crew.
That's wonderful.
That is amazing.
I want to see now. Ooh, nice. I want to see now if you can customize the Discord welcome message. So every time somebody joins, like, the community Discord server, it just says, join the cult, or something like that.
You can.
Oh, fantastic.
I just don't know.
Finally! Singular fucking piece of debris. Thank you. When did I get 6? Oh, right, I picked some up earlier. I'm... Memory of a goldfish, this one.
Can I convince
Hey,
you to get
hey.
me like 2 more?
I'm
pieces
saying
of
me.
debris?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you.
Were you defending my...
I somehow
I'm not sure.
miscounted horribly.
Where? Oh, that's where I am.
It takes 4 debris and 4 gold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I had.
Oh, right, I need
4
gold. I forgot about that.
I can give you
What did
gold.
you
I just
get?
thought I had 4 scraps already. Or 2 scraps already, so I count it as if I had 2 scraps already, and then apparently didn't. So
Fair enough.
I'm 2 scraps
Where are you
short.
at?
Just go to the creeper farm.
I
Follow
literally
the
playing
nether
since I
portal.
logged on.
Follow the nether portal south. It's the first one on the right.
Thank you.
Nope, not there.
Alright, I'm on my way. Just give me a second. I gotta figure out where the portal is.
You're good.
It should have a 2-wide tunnel and then a long staircase down unless they've moved the portal up.
No, we haven't moved the portal up. and
Okay,
we need
then
to
yeah,
move
there'll
it
be a
forward.
meaning, like,
staircase down.
I have pillaged my way really far into the nether.
Oh, lovely. Oh yeah, I see you all the way up there!
So I don't think racing has organization skills.
It's okay, I don't either.
Fair enough.
No, there's saplings in the super smelter that I just tore down.
Okay.
Yeah, you.
Oh, Pumpkin. So we all have essential, right?
Oh.
What's that?
They know she knows exactly where I'm going with this. I went through like what the hang on, yep. Oh wait, I already have okay. I can do yep.
You're good. I promise
Come back
you're
here.
fine. That's
No, come back here.
hilarious.
Come back here. Come back here. And this isn't even because I have your skin. If you go into your wardrobe and type in a username, you can get anyone's skin.
Hang on,
God, the
wardrobe and then
stutter.
what?
Wardrobe, skins, add skin, you can go by username. And because we all have essential, we all can see each other changing skins. So I have a clip of like 4 of us being lilacs.
It says your name does not exist. This is foul.
My name is
Disgusting.
misspelled. It's mutation CIP.
I know, I spelt it that way.
You know you can change it, right?
I at this point I think it's funnier that I don't.
Fair.
Also, it
Oh,
kind of helps
my mom has
if
that.
anybody ever attempts to like steal my username, or that is oh screw you Enderman, or what is attacking me? I don't know what was attacking me. Oh, it went through the portal. That's why. That's why. That's why. That's why. Screw off. And I'm lagging, which don't help nothing. There we go. Jeez, 3.5 hearts. Granted, I don't have my chestplate on.
Seems like a lot of effort.
What is a lot
Oh wait,
of
okay,
effort?
so you said to the south, right?
Yes. South of the spawn portal. It's the first one on the right, not the left. The first one on the left is the village. You're gonna go farther than that. If you've hit the very end, and there's a portal at the top, you've gone too far.
Okay, first one on the left.
On the first one on the right,
It's
you're
on the
gonna go
right, it's on
past
the
the
right.
left.
Okay, well, we'll see if it's this one.
I already had some gold. Wonderful.
I'm in
I'm
a
gonna
village.
fill my porch chest with another rack.
You went too short.
They said the first one on the right.
Do you know your
Is there
right
another
from your
portal been
left?
added?
I do, but this is the first one on the right.
I don't know, cause is it the Cherry Blossom Village?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
the left.
Yeah, you somehow went left, not right.
Maybe because I turned around?
Yes, it's because you
Probably.
turned around.
Okay.
I live far.
Oh, I forgot
okay?
about the stupid smithing templates.
I have one.
I have a friend on another server. Is it
May I
like,
come and
down
copy it?
staircase or is it after the staircase?
Yeah.
To which one?
And then you can. Wait, well, how much now?
Yes, as in it's before the staircase?
No, it is the staircase.
Help
I'm
is on the
saying
way,
yes 'cause
dear.
I'm coming to copy it.
I'm running to the creeper farm.
staircase.
Yep, you're
I need to
on the right
set up
one.
Yeah, I need to set up a portal for my base. And then I need to
Yeah.
move up the creeper farm portal.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I'm surprised you haven't set up
Where are
a
you?
sugarcane farm.
Me?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
an automated
I'm here.
sugarcane.
Oh, oh, that's not.
I'm doing like a hyper efficient manual one.
Ah, gotcha.
Because there's a specific
Punky,
pattern.
this
If
way.
you do it, it's like super efficient.
What?
The diamonds. This way, Pumpkin.
I don't have wings.
Do you need a boat?
Probably.
Do you need me to bring a boat?
Remember, my
I
wings
got
are
a boat.
broken. I used the last of the durability flying home, and now I gotta wait for an anvil.
Oh, I have an anvil over
We can
here.
bring you to an anvil. I've told you where anvils
They're at
are.
home, it's fine. I made one earlier, and I forgot to heal them. It's fine.
I have
This
an
is the
anvil
same thing of me and farms,
over
except you just refuse to go to an anvil. And you wonder why I don't use create. Okay.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Over here.
Okay.
Over here is the anvil.
Hey,
I don't
anyone got
have one.
netherrack? Because that's the one thing I forgot, apparently.
I have plenty of that. What were you saying, Pumpkin?
I don't have my wings on me. They're stored in the chest.
Ah,
I don't carry
Do
everything
you want
with
to
me.
borrow one of mine?
No, it's all good. I appreciate it.
You sure? It's full
need to figure out how to
full
get one.
durability. I really don't have a use for it.
I have, like,
No.
there you go.
3 pairs that I've misplaced places. It's fine. Seed of ground squash? Oh, pumpkin seed, ground squash. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, wait, when did I get a pumpkin? What?
Good
Oh,
question.
I broke one over there. That's probably why.
Nice, this is now
Thank
going
you
to-
very much.
You could have kept the netherrack.
I can take it back.
Oh, Ashley, do you have a blaze rod or a breeze rod?
No.
Damn it! I need one breeze rod.
Oh, for the maze?
Pumpkin.
I don't have a heavy core yet. It's to duplicate the flow trim because I don't feel like going.
Ah.
Because I like to
looks
put the
so
flow trim on
weird.
my helmet.
Oh, we can put trims on elytras, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I didn't know that worked.
I'm
Oh, that's
pretty sure we have a
adorable. I
texture
love
pack for
that.
that. Hmm?
Oh, I have a texture pack that makes everybody's armor flowers.
Oh.
Aww.
It's like a minimal armor, but like flowers. So everybody's covered in flowers, and it's really cute. But it also works for the dog armor.
That's adorable. Oh, you have slime heads. Ooh, I need to get a slime head.
I got a slime head you can steal if you want.
You can have those. Racing put them there, so. Yeah.
Oh, Pumpkin, you need a boat back?
Yeah, come here.
Hmm.
Let's all line up, because I'll send the picture in the group chat. Because I'll just show you all the...
Oh, the arrow's gone. I was about to say the line.
Oh, here, let me.
And I'll send it in the group, in the server.
There we go. I was hitting the wrong button.
Where did I move? Where did I move? I moved my sit. Where did I move my sit? Sit. Where's the sit? Where did I put my sit? J. Okay.
Which button?
Yours is left all if you haven't moved it.
I put it in
No,
media, the picture.
Oh, left alt. Okay.
Yeah. Or jump.
I don't
I
know
use
what
left
my-
alt for my layers, so. Why do
adorable.
I have... Oh, what?
Well, these dogs sound like my real dog.
Oh, that is adorable.
That might explain why my head hurts.
Huh?
I haven't had enough water today or enough caffeine.
That'll do it. Would you like a boat back
I
to the nether
literally
portal?
woke up and got on the server. Yeah.
Any of y'all want to buy trims off of me? I got.
No
I
thank
don't.
you.
Snout.
Appreciate it though.
I got snout.
Wait, what kind of
coast,
trims you want?
eye, bolt. Snout, coast, eye, bolt, and then flow. But I have to dupe flow.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Actually, I might
Plow through the
just
lily
go
pads.
do a
Bonk.
trial change.
The cod on the map is so funny.
Just little green heads. What are you talking about?
I know.
Oh yeah, but trims don't work with this. I did realize that.
Oh, with
Trims
the
just
flowers?
make it weird. Yeah, but I don't care.
Oh.
It looks cute.
I can
anyways,
tell you
'cause
they
it just
definitely
shows
work
the
with the minimal.
trim lines.
Because I can see the trims on you.
I don't like minimal, in my opinion.
Fair enough.
What kind of spawn is this?
Creeper.
Oh, there's heads on here too.
It just shows the trim outline, which it
Hmm.
doesn't look bad, in my opinion. It doesn't look bad. It's just somewhat excessive.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Oh, someone built a. Oh, God.
Yeah. Oh. Bonked my head bad.
On today's episode of Walking Up the Stairs. Today's episode, how many times did you walk in my head? Pretty decent amount, it seems, so far.
I apparently
Today's
haven't been
episode of
sleeping.
Walking Upstairs. How many concussions can I get? And how long until I'm in a coma? And finally! Oop. One piece of netherite.
I don't know whose head this is on the wall, but I'm scared.
If it's the duck, it's race car.
Oh, I'm taking it.
Ooh. Oh dear, I just took like half my health by not taking off correctly from my base.
Bravo.
Yeah,
Now, can I correctly go through my own damn tunnel? I can hit the stronghold and repair my stuff.
No.
oh yeah.
I did
need
it!
to get-
Fantastic.
I gotta talk to Racing. Thank you for reminding me about that.
Whoop. Whoop. I burn through rockets. I already forgot I do that.
Oh, what's this week? This is...
Can't remember. I gotta check what it is, but y'all want to know what the Endermite's name is this season? Because last time it was Troffles the 8th.
What?
I believe it's Whim something. Hold on. I know your name.
Evil witchery of disappearing.
Pearls, I guess? I just want to see your name. I killed it. I forgot I have thorns. Okay, hold on. I'll get a new one.
So that's why the farm was slow. I went and tried to use it.
No,
and
I
was like,
just killed it.
really slow. Oh. I don't know. The farm seems slow in my opinion.
You are welcome to attempt to fix it, as long as it does not break.
I wouldn't know how. The way I would fix it would probably be me just rebuilding the entirety of the spawning platform. And doing the, what is it, the tower one.
Oh, yeah. I don't want to have to spawn-proof that whole thing, so that's why I do the version I do. Name tag, right. Already forgot.
Yay, Heart of the Sea, let's go. Yay, emeralds. I gotta get them breaking.
I think it was named like Winfred or something, the Endermite. I was trying to remember it, I was trying to look, but I killed him in the process.
Oh, yeah, this is probably what you were talking about. Maybe I don't want to go in here.
Huh?
I found a desert temple under the water.
Yeah. It might be a different one, but as if you went northwest.
It probably is.
I'd look at the map, but I'm in the... Yes.
Oh, lovely.
I can't remember what the name was, so I'm naming him Winfred. And hopefully I don't accidentally kill him this time.
Did you break kelp near your one?
The kelp can break naturally.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's,
but
I was just
it's hard to tell you.
Just in case it is.
I remember it's northwest near a beach. I can't tell you more than that. I'm gonna have to like take off all of my armor for this. Oh, there we go, there we go.
Actually,
Winfred.
I'm gonna fly over here. Given that there's just... No.
Of course you're just stuck in that spot. And I didn't bring more rails. How do I get you to come over here?
Do you need to bring you to ship?
Oh wait! You're not affected by water. What? Get in! Get in the why aren't you getting in the stupid minecart? Get in the stupid minecart.
I don't know if that counts as tree mapping, but I just broke one of Misty's trees because I needed sticks.
Go in the stupid minecart, Winfred! Winfred, you piece of shit. Go in the minecart. Go in the minecart. I didn't bring rails, so I can't really move the minecart around, and I want the minecart in a specific orientation. So it doesn't accidentally get knocked closer to the Enderman. And this stupid boy... Is it because I have the minecart on a rail? Is that why it's not going towards it? And it moved the minecart around, so I'm gonna have to grab rails anyway. Can someone bring me rails? I'm pretty sure I have some. They're in a chest. Oh, you stupid.
Yeah, where do you need them delivered?
To the Enderman farm in the end.
Okay, how do I get to the end?
Stronghold portal at the very end of the tunnel.
Okay, thank you.
Let me quickly... I'm gonna try and keep... He shouldn't despawn because he's named. I'm gonna keep an eye on him. I'm bringing... I left a boat for you at the beginning because it's a water path over to it.
No, you gotta be kidding. Racing, do you have one
North or
emerald I can
south?
borrow?
South.
Can I borrow one of them silk touch?
Also, there's anvils here if you want to bring your wings.
Oh, it looked like you had a silk touch, but never mind. I'm blonde. Thank you. And here's 4 emeralds back. So glad I don't have depth strider yet.
Yeah?
If you have depth strider and you use a riptide trident, it does like a weird like bug. We're talking about where the pale oak is, right?
They just said dark oak.
Well, yeah, there's... Pale oak tends to spawn near dark oak.
Because they're just asking if anyone found dark oak.
East.
Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Winfred, I'm gonna get you in this stupid minecart. Get in the minecart, Winfred. Thank you. Okay.
Motherfucker.
I forgot there's a window right there, so do this. Push the minecart over. Now you're like that. Move this. And then push it that way. And then heal up. Spawn proof this, first of all. Okay, farm should be in working order now. Wonderful.
I do need to AFK the gunpowder from some point.
Yeah, I did trigger it. Sorry. It has an automatic on-off. I am sorry.
I don't have anything that light the portal, so never mind.
I'm a AFK for a sec.
I can get sharp 5.
Sorry that I'm staying muted. I keep having people walk out and make a lot of noise.
Okay, I'm back. And Pigman gone. Okay.
I'm just gonna re-elaborate what I said. Sorry that I'm staying muted. I have a lot of people like walking in and out of where I am and making a lot of noise.
Okay. No worries. It's interesting having so many people on, because this was our max last season. Uh-oh.
Please note, it says Penguin got punished by a scurvy dog bag of bones.
That's doomed to fall by a skeleton on English end. Oh geez, that's a bad way to die. Can you let me know when you're done attacking Enderman so I can repair my pick? Okay, there you go. Oh dear, the lag. Lovely.
You did that right as my pickaxe got fully healed.
Wonderful. I need to repair Pikachu. So what's gonna be Potato nicknamed this season? Yeah?
Potato was my trident, right?
I think so.
Hmm.
Name your sword Potato Peeler.
Let me... Oh, that's so smart.
I'll think of other potato puns. I'm trying to think of something with I, because, like, the eyes of a potato. Pick out your eye.
How do I spell peeler?
Peeler.
Okay, so that is right.
Yeah. Unless I'm absolutely irrevocably incorrect.
If so, oh well. Also, I need you to know what Curse of Vanishing is called. It's
Oh,
called
dear.
Evil Witchery of Disappearing.
Oh, that's what- okay. That's great. When you said that aloud, I thought it was like a potion or something.
Pickaxe O Diamond. Evil Witchery of Disappearing. Treasure in 2. Usefulness 3. Toughness 3. Renovation.
What's renovation? Silk touch?
Mending.
Oh. Yeah, that checks.
So
Maybe I should have
have
turned it diamond
a
first.
really damn good pickaxe. But it has... I just better not die with this in my inventory.
For real. If you ever are about to die, you just have to cue it real quick.
Just be like...
I'm about to die! Q! Q! Q!
Q.
I'm gonna rename my bow that. Hold on. I have it named Shoot Shoot right now. I'm gonna name it QQ.
Alright, I think I'm in the clear to stay unmuted for a little bit. Everybody's scattered back to their room.
My sword is currently named Stab Stab.
Okay, will you tell me what this is?
It's a diamond shovel with Unbreaking 3.
Unbreaking is toughness? Okay. Or
that
tough.
checks.
For some reason I thought there was an enchantment table in here. Oh, never mind. Ignoring me.
I want to kill some of my sword.
Lasward. It's L and A with a dash over it. ZHWARD.
Oh, okay.
Very interesting name and maybe going in here.
I don't know how to name my sword. I named it something, but I didn't like it enough.
Okay.
I
was about to say, I'm surprised Plush isn't blowing up chat right now, and I was like, oh wait, never mind, I know what she's doing.
I don't know what to name my sword. You know, we're gonna name it Sword. Zword? Zword? Zword.
My diamond sword. My sword.
Please, oh.
Ow!
Please, sir, may I have some more? Oh, there we go. I think this is the perfect spot where I can't attack you.
I'm like facing.
You can attack me though.
My bad. My bad. I'll turn more towards the wall.
I probably should have repaired my pickaxe before I made it netherite. I'm not even fully repaired yet.
Should I put netherite on this pickaxe?
Repair it first, probably?
Well, yeah, I already got it fully healed. I'm just meaning because it has the evil witchery of disappearing on it.
If it lasts more than a couple weeks, sure. Probably not, though.
I mean... I now understand what it's like getting staring at people with like the green eyes.
Yeah.
No, give me that back, give me that back, give me that back, thank you. I dropped my pickaxe.
Uh-oh.
I got it back on.
I still have like 100 durability to go. On my pickaxe.
I'm busting back into the hazelnuts.
Ooh, yummy. Mancha. I got like a piece of chip stuck in my teeth, it sucks.
Thing I haven't had in a hot minute. Chips.
Oh. I'm eating away at some like garden veggie ones. They got a nice little bit of pepper to them.
I really want like jalapeno flavored chips right now.
Ooh. Do you like jalapeno poppers?
Oh, I love jalapeno poppers.
Okay. Next time my mom makes some, we'll have to plan for you to come up here. My mom will make homemade mozzarella sticks and homemade jalapeno peppers, usually with peppers from the garden. Ding ding.
Okay, usually from...
Oh, yeah, my game lagged out a lot. Usually from the garden. If not our garden, then our friend's garden.
I'm gonna take a guess. Soft hands is silk touch.
Probably. If you want to double check, you can hand it to me after. And this is why we don't keep hoppers, because already all the barrels, but the lapis barrels, are full with ender pearls. Can I not if I trigger the pressure plates, I'm sorry. I think I did.
No.
Okay, good. I heard myself trigger them, but maybe not then. So I try to fly over it. Oh, a lilac head kind of looks cursed. Because there's... Oh, no, there is layers. Okay. When it's in your inventory, there's, like, no layers to her head. So it just looks like blank hair and eyes. There's no bangs, there's no nothing.
Oh.
I'm gonna go see what Misty's doing. Misty is... I'm guessing at her base. Yep. Oh, I need to get my... Need to get some gunpowder. Talk to Penguin, see if I could steal some from her farm. Misty! Misty! Misty, 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 Misty! Misty! Misty, Misty, Misty. I keep missing her. She's also flying, that's why. I'm just slowly following her. Misty!
I don't think how it's supposed to land.
What doing?
Hello, I did not stick that landing. That broke my everything.
Oh no.
I
We
don't
were about
think
to
I
go
know how to
invading.
land with this yet.
Ah! May I go steal a stack of gunpowder from your farm? Oh. Yeah, spawn production. Yep.
Let me make a spawn waypoint.
Mother.
Oh, wait a minute.
There we
That
go.
didn't.
Thank you. Oh, that'll do.
Actually
Thank you, thank you,
should
thank
do
you.
There
You're
we go.
welcome.
Wait, so that's...
Bye-bye.
There we go.
They're going and busting.
Nice.
And now I can steal all the sugarcane from my beautiful farm.
Damn.
Oh, you get a good one?
On an iron pickaxe, I just got treasure 3, which is looting 3, usefulness 4,
Looting
and
on a
toughness
pickaxe?
3.
Yes.
Not looting. I think?
Fortune?
I think it's fortune. I don't know, I'll have to come give it to you.
It's probably fortune, because you can't get looting on a pickaxe. I wish you could get that on an axe, but you
It's
can't.
probably fortune.
Or at least make the fortune affect animals, damn it. I want to use my axe as my weapon. It's a good weapon. You don't get to make that such a good attack and not make it a good weapon. That's the first time Misty's been in the Nether? Jeez. Yeah, that's fine. I don't even know why I'm, like, taking any of my wheat. I don't use enough wheat to warrant me actually harvesting it. Plus, I have, like, 6, 7 hay bales? Something like that? Or, not, I have 56 or 57 hay bales. I don't need more wheat. Not right now, anyhow. And I don't fancy hoarding this early in.
Ye have no home bed or rebirth in relic, or be destroyed at sea.
You went back to spawn? Yeah,
Yeah.
I have uno más leather. Yeah, I have paper. I got paper. I'm gonna get us some more rockies.
I have so many heads in my inventory now.
Oh, there you are. Boop. Boop. There you go. That's half
you
of what
made
I got.
rockets. I was like, what are you making? Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh no, I used like way more of my hay bales. Never mind. I still have a stack of wheat though. That's good enough. I need onion and I need carrots. Might as well try and go for them. Onion. How find?
Chunk
Where
of
find?
white rock.
Wait,
Quartz
what
white
is-
rock.
White rock? Iron?
Chunk of white rock. I keep trying to say right rock. Jesus Christ. It's
Banner
what?
pattern? Pattern?
It's just that all over again.
Yup.
Criminy, dog.
I'm gonna go check the loot tree and see if I left any onion seeds in any of the chests. I probably left cabbage, but... Wheat seeds...
Oh, by the way,
No.
Elytra is Icarus's wings.
Oh, real.
And apples are scurvy's cure.
Far enough. I'm gonna... I know we saw onions day one. I'm gonna assume there's onions in the plains. I'm gonna go look.
Yeah, there should be. I've seen wild carrots in there.
You're just a bush.
I want you to take a wild guess of what membrane o' thy flying devils is.
I found onion. Membrane o' flying devil?
Yeah.
Membrane o' flying devil. Is this an enchantment or an item, or am I not allowed to know?
This is an item.
Phantom membrane?
Yes.
Oh.
Bone is just bone. That's kind of funny.
Bones. Give me your bones. Ooh, what plant? Tomato
Diamond
vines!
boots or peg Lego diamond.
Peg Lego diamond.
This is great.
Where are the carrots gone? Where them carrots
Cobblestone's
at?
Pebble.
Wait. Oh, that's just more tomato.
Powdered keg.
There's no more. There's one farm plot in this entire village. Okay. Are there any farm plot? There's another village that way. I might as well go for my fried rice while I'm at it, and then I can design my house after that. Because I have the rice, we have chicken, carrots, and I have the onion, and now I got the carrots. This is all carrots. I'm taking all this. Mine now. Too bad for you, villager. This is mine. I have the onion and the carrot. Also, apparently we're gonna have Ilu. I only know the British pronunciation for some reason. Aluminium or whatever.
Aluminum?
Oh, I'm thinking. Alliums?
I don't know. They're called pink puffies.
Okay. We're gonna have pink puffy farms
No,
too,
my bad.
apparently,
Pink
because onions
fluffy.
grow them. Pink fluffies. Okay. Apparently onions also grow them. So we're gonna have a mini farm of that as well. No, I don't want the
I
onions
like
to
how
go
it
away.
looks like I'm sitting down on...
Yeah. Hey, I'm already growing the rice. Let's get some more going. And so we can
As much as this is
turn...
gonna pain me. I know it's for a good cause.
What are you doing? I don't need pumpkin seeds.
I do.
Oh, you need me to plant them? Okay.
Yeah, I destroyed my pumpkin for that.
There's a bonus to waterlogging your chest. And it's not just the practical safetiness of it. It's you always have an infinite water source.
Another bonus. You can splash around in it, a little kid.
I'm gonna deconstruct all of this and then restart it. Because I have this mostly focused on sugarcane at the moment. And we only need that on occasion. And I'd rather readjust some of these farm plots for food. When I really don't need wheat. I mean, I can make food out of wheat, but I don't really need it. And I should probably make a path in the middle of this as well. We can actually get up without destroying everything. Thank you. I'm gonna let that piece of rice grow, but I'm gonna try and build around it. Let's make like half of these, that, and then a quarter of these stairs, and then work with that, and see what I can make out of it.
Mushed bones.
I'm gonna try and take
There you go,
angle. Oh, wonderful. And then let's destroy the other little piece, and we can replant it. Oh yeah, might as well just go all the way, huh? Like here. And then we're gonna take the water from a few of these. Those ones alone should do for a good enough path. Because this one too. Because that spot's kinda sucky for growing any sugarcane. This one is too.
Sorry if there was an echo. I had to check my phone. Apparently my mom has been messaging me.
Uh-oh.
What does the green and purple thing mean on the tab menu?
Oh, that means, like, you should be able to click the little symbol next to your 1 on your keyboard. That's the statuses. So I'm like, I have green, so I'm open for interaction, and I'm currently streaming. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna place these about. I'll fix it later. We'll just place these about. Fix as we go. Let's... start from the bottom, perhaps? This would be... Uh-oh.
Fell off the shipbuilding frame.
it's scaffolding.
Oh, that's great. I like how I've just got a crap ton of cherry wood growing. You can make an axe.
Boop, boop. There. Let's do that.
I love how cherry wood drops so many saplings.
Oh yeah. Well, because it's so focused on the leaves.
True. I wish jungle wood dropped a bit more.
Oh yes, absolutely.
You know, jungle wood drops the least amount of saplings.
Yeah, it's why, despite like them being decent for like really good for wood, I just refuse to farm them. They just aren't good for that.
It's like impossible.
Yeah.
Because you can start with this like a whole stack of saplings, get like a good decent amount of wood, but you'd end up with no saplings in the end.
Yeah. No banger song.
What song?
I know what it is. I'm not looking. I know what it is. I know what it is. What the hell? Paralyzer. Oh, lag. Did voice chat pick up me actually saying which song it was?
I'm probably gonna have to
No.
take a bite out of a pig. Wait,
Oh,
this isn't Spawn.
Hello.
I am in the wrong.
Oh, hi,
Hello.
Misty.
Oh, hi. Hello. I fell and died, so I'm trying to get back to Penguin's place.
Yeah, it's a bit far away. You're gonna need to take the portal network.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm trying to get to Spawn.
Alright. Yeah, it's just up there.
I'm so sorry to do this, chicken, but I need your flesh because I'm starving to death. No, come back here.
Here,
Yeah,
here,
give me your flesh. Give. Delightful.
here.
Well, yeah, but that's fine. Oh, thanks. That works too. Cooked food is better than raw.
Just a little
Pumpkin
bit.
threw some food at me.
What did I just collect?
Probably dirt.
The pumpkin threw some food at me. That's a sentence.
Wait, what?
I just went through like a whole stack of food at her.
Oh yeah,
I was on a killing spree earlier.
real. I would expect
food
nothing
even
less
left.
from you.
I'm confident when I need to be.
No, I expect you to go on killing sprees, is what I'm saying.
Oh. Damn, okay.
I mean that positively.
You mean it in a positive way. Oh boy.
Yes. You've set the expectation. I believe in you to do it.
I need to like get a palette going of like orange and pink and black for this season.
Oh yeah. I can send you a resource I'm using for block colors.
Nah. I'm gonna figure
It's
this
literally a
out.
picture. It's just literally a picture of all the blocks, but set up in like a color palette. Or not like a color...
Meh.
a hue range. There we go. Let's stick sugarcane here. Alternate it to this level, and then do some here. I saw that, Bumpy. Let's do one right here.
Play.
Oh, I turned it down. Let me fix it.
Racing bombs?
I don't know. Sound alerts. Oh, racing is what Penguin calls race car.
Mm.
Probably worried about the spawns of the creeper farm. Okay, metal pipe. Sound alerts. Stop updating your shit. I don't know how to do anything anymore. Okay.
Question.
Test. Oh, sound alert's just not. I
Is
heard
this
the
supposed to be
sound alert's just not
for
working.
a farm or something?
Huh?
Is this supposed to be for like a farm?
You can get rid of that. I had sheep in there and then I killed them off. I have a bunch of dirt if you want to use that.
Good.
We don't
that's
have to worry
fine.
about the chickens
That's
that are
not
in
what I'm
here.
needing.
Okay.
Oh no, it's not for the chickens.
I love that you just made a little corner. Oh, my stupid music.
Oh. I was gonna dig down and, pillage a hole. Why is there turtles so far inland?
Why is... Oh! I know why it's not working. I was on game recording, not gameplay.
Man.
The audio, the actual browser source for sound alerts isn't on my game recording. I don't have any of my streaming alert stuff on my game recording scene.
Wow.
Well, when I'm recording, I don't want all the BS of, like, words. No, I don't want the BS of words, apparently. I don't want all the, like, stream alerts to be up when I'm just recording.
Hmm.
And now plant onion and carrot. Oh yeah, race cart logs off and on all the time. That's fun.
It's fine.
Yeah. And that should be close enough to some water, probably. And we'll slowly build up our onions and our carrots. And I'm already out of onion. Also, I am purposely spreading out the carrots and mix matching them with the onions, so don't worry about, like, moving them around. Oh, nope, not that fun.
That's fine.
Just so you're aware. What are you giggling about over there?
Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry about it.
I am worried about... Oh, did you get a bunch of animals stuck in one little spot? And they're following you and they all get stuck as one creature?
No.
That's a very innocent no you got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to share with the class?
Eventually.
Okay. You keep your secrets.
I will. Thank you. That's why they're called secrets. You of all people should know that.
That's so funny that stream won't understand that one, but I know exactly what you mean by that joke. This is the most giggly I've ever heard you. What's going on there, Chucklefuck? Oh, I'm lagging. Oh dear. There I go. I'm back. I was very much so lagging out. Did you even get to hear what I said?
No.
This is the giggliest I've ever heard you. What's going on there, Chucklefuck?
You'll see in like maybe 30 seconds.
Okay. I see you're almost up the mountain. What? I'm confused.
Shit, no! They all looked like one singular fucking
Oh, yeah.
unit.
Yeah. You can
And,
get them
like-
all to merge like that again. Hold on. It's very easy to pull off. Everybody, we're gonna
I
come
know,
around,
but-
and if you merge them around, you just gotta force all their AI to go the same direction, and eventually...
Eventually, they
There
look
we
like
go.
they're, waddling.
Yep. Oh, I love it. Yep, there I go. How long until I disconnect? How long until I rubber band? What? It's up, stream's down, that's why. Dropping frames? Oh, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. I was lagging out for a minute there. I watched my stream drop in real time. This area looks so lovely for like a day. We're on day 5? Day 6? It's Friday, day 6. Day 6 of an SMP. It's no giant starter house, but it is certainly a beautiful, beautiful little area.
I think it's the cherry blossoms that help.
Yeah. Contrary,
pink
I'm not
everywhere.
a big fan of the way the cherry blossoms are. I think the wood's just way too dark. I'd much rather just force grow some tall oak trees.
Yeah.
I have chips. I forgot about them already.
Damn, now I want
I've
chips.
literally got one piece of netherite, and this is supposed to be a netherite mining stream. I'm gonna be back. I miss my wife tales. I'll be back. Sorry, I messed up the delivery. I miss my wife tales. I miss her a lot. I'll be back.
You never activated that one, did you?
Activated what?
The I miss my wife tales.
No, I didn't. That's one of the... I've turned off the longer ones, and so for the moment, I'm just saying I'm gonna keep them off until we hit affiliate, and then they'll be for a low amount of channel points.
Fair enough.
My Miss My Wife Tales is back. Because I have also... I was gonna wait for people to find this out, but I will say that you can play the alerts back to back. And they can overlap.
Oh boy.
This is set to all of them. So, in order to prevent a million metal pipes, I would like to be able to set
I'm
that to
gonna
channel
have to go.
points. But I can't do that until I'm affiliate. You gotta
Nice.
go?
I would love to stay around, but I gotta go. It was great
Alrighty,
hanging out.
bye-bye.
Enjoy the rest of your stream. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Probably won't be on much longer. And there they go. Yeah. I didn't even hear that part. I imagine... Because we're already... Oh, that's a lot. We're already almost at 2 hours. I would like... I believe I just need one more piece. Yeah. I have 3 ancient debris. I just need one more piece of debris. Some forbidden cinnamon rolls. And that would get me a netherite sword. And that my sword and my pick are my top priority. So I just want to get the sword, and then I will allow myself to get everything else off camera. But I actually have to do that first. People haven't really gone this way. Probably because of the pool, but I'm gonna hope that I don't run into it, perhaps. No. Not even 3 blocks in. How about here? Nope. How about here? No, maybe, no, kinda. Try next one. Pretty please. Let's go along here. Get out of my way. Thank you. Goodbye. Switch around tools. I actually need to put that back in my ender chest, that's why. I'm like, wait, this don't belong here. I haven't even enchanted that one yet. I need to do that. Probably go with Silk Touch for it, because I kind of wanted that for leaves. And more pools. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I almost want to name the diamond hoe that. Leave me alone. Max, get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out. Father, help. I should add that as a sound alert, actually. Father, help. I've referenced it way too often in, like, the first several days of this SMP. Oh. Lovely. I love gravel floating, because I'm lagging. Granted, it's because a fair amount of us are on. There's still 4 of us on. It's genuinely so weird, like, having such an active server. Season 1 started with just me, and I got people on later in. And even then, it was much more chill. We only had 4 people total, and then 5 at the end of it. We just did not have a lot of people. But now we've doubled, almost. There's another member that will be joining us. I just need to send them that, hey, you're welcome. Come join us. Because we got a late application, and then everybody voted to allow them in. And allowed new members in, despite the server already being up. So I just need to go message them. I have a feeling if we do add any more people, I will, as the server continues on, I will probably continue with what I've done this first time, is check in, see if we want to add more people or not, per each. And just vibe out. Yeah. Voice chat has been a seriously lovely addition to all this. Because it's made interactions so much easier, and we just end up with a lot of different shenanigans, regardless of recording or not. And it just makes collaboration so much easier. That in addition with Essential, it's caused a lot of interesting shenanigans that I don't think would have happened if we had stuck with Minehut and continued not using voice chat. It does mean the server's slightly more expensive, but I'm fine with that. I got lucky and managed to come across a cheap alternative that allows us to run a decent server. I think we're running like 8 gigs or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's 8, which for a lightly modded server is kind of on the lower end, admittedly, but it does actually work out pretty well for us, because usually we only have about half of the server members on. I think, like, when I first logged on today, that was a bit of a rarity, because we had, like, 6 of us on for a moment there until Lilac left. And then just now Pumpkin left, so it's now back down to 4. But 3 or 4 is actually our usual amount right now. Granted, we are in the first week, but it's really nice just being able to hang out, chat with other people. Because most of the time, somebody or other has a group going, or if not, everybody's usually on hot mic. I think there's only a few people that have push-to-talk set up, but most people are on hot mic. So you get the crazy interactions like us jump-scaring Misty all the time. I'm surprised I haven't been jump-scared more often, honestly. I've technically been jump-scared once, but that's because I was helping Penguin set up her mic, because it's been quiet, and it was quiet for the entirety of my first episode, actually. So I was trying to edit around that and make sure we had a good volume. After I was done recording, I had logged on late one night for something or other. And I think I was actually getting, like, some of the villagers set up. Because I was still trying to... Oh, I wanted thorns, that's what it was. I was enchanting my stuff and I wanted thorns. And she had been on, I was helping adjust her mic, because you can't adjust it on your end. Microphone amplification. And she turned it up, and it absolutely scared the shit out of me. Because it was fucking loud. How have I not found another piece of debris yet? What is happening here? I would like a singular cinnamon roll. May I order 1 cinnamon roll? Pretty please. Just 1. That's all I need. I just want 1 cinnamon roll. We're gonna cut through here, cut through the middle. Can I get a cinnamon roll? Any cinnamon rolls? Y'all got cinnamon rolls? Cinnamon rolls? Cinnamon roll? Cinnamon roll? Yeah, y'all got cinnamon rolls? I got a cinnamon roll. Cinnamon roll. I got a cinnamon roll. Cinnamon roll. How far can I get away from y'all got cinnamon rolls before it doesn't sound like it anymore? Y'all got the memo? Y'all got the memo? I think the main thing is just the inflection. At least in my head I could still understand it, but then again, that's my head. And it don't make sense to a lot of people. There's a method to the madness, and that method is cranberries. It literally took me like a year or two after saying that to realize what the hell even I meant, and I'm the one who said it. Nope, nope. Cinnamon rolls! I literally want one. Where am I? Oh geez, some people went far. I just want one. Literally only want one. Ooh, bounty box. First looter shulker. Good for Misty. I wonder if they went like out in a new direction or hit the old ones. Probably the old ones first because they're already or what's the word I want? They've already been attacked. Ooh, mineshaft. You got bad boys though. I don't want the bad boys. We don't care about no bad boys. I care about forbidden cinnamon. Wait, actually. This is like the equivalent of going to a deep mineshaft for diamonds. I may actually be able to find a cinnamon roll down here. I wanted... No. No. This is the first achievement. Another mineshaft. Ah, where? I just... Ooh, shulker. Well, not shulker. Ooh, you have rice, actually. Rice! Excuse me! Where are you? Rude, I am looting. Can't you see I am busy? No. No, you're not allowed. I'm busy. Thank you. Awfully rude of you. No one taught you manners? Cinnamon roll. Okay, to be fair, manners are kind of overrated, but to some extent, they are. Pleasantries can be just in general nice. It's a nice thing to do. Don't interrupt people. That checks out. That makes sense. I'd even pick up the cinnamon roll. Thank you. Lovely. Can I find any other loot, though? I would appreciate more rice. That would be a good shout. No. Pretty please. This sucks so much to attempt to get through, by the way. And there's so many trees in the way of everything. Okay, something up here. Maybe, perhaps. Dead end. Never mind. Is that a nope? I just fell. Nothing over here. There's a tree in the way. Nothing. 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 Okay. Get rid. I have diamond armor, but it's still taking a hit doing that. Okay, great. I think that's a sign we go home, and I go get my netherite later. Or off camera, or something to that extent. Where am I? I think if I have to mine into it, I'm probably not the right spot. What? Not at the right spot. How did I even configure those words? I've, like, listened to so many different languages growing up. Sometimes I feel like I accidentally go into a different language word order than I meant to. Because that could absolutely happen. I have learned a little bit of a fair amount of languages. I haven't properly learned languages. I'm horrible at it. But I've learned a little bit here and there of the extent of, like, my local community, the extent of languages we have, and then just from being online and knowing different languages from that. It's like, forget that this one comic only has a Russian comic dub. I'm gonna listen to the Russian and try and pick it apart anyway. I couldn't tell you the words they were saying. I could get across the inflection, but that's about it. I think the same thing, low-key. I don't have my wings on. Put a waypoint to the end temple in chat. I wonder, race car's given me an end temple before. Is that the same one they gave me before? Remove all the TNT from it. It might be the same one I already got from him. I'll have to double check. But let us handle this one little bit of cinnamon roll. Cinnamon roll in junk in. I don't have enough room. I'm gonna have to get some more chests going. From now I can go in here. Flint, you. I need that house. I need that house soon. I left my boat somewhere. That sucks. Pumpkin probably picked it up, actually. Boat. Birch boat. Netherite. Proper. I love rolling into walls. He's in the goddamn walls! Oh wait, why am I not doing that? There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. We take out a scrap, take out an ingot, take an ingot, and upgrade. Sword! Sword is netherite. Okay, fantastic. And let's plant our rice. And I will get more netherite on my own, because that is annoying. But until then, I need to go design a house. Because I'm already tired of this organization. I need a storage room. I need a storage room. I need to do that. I need to go organize and do things. I'm gonna go do that. So, thank you all for joining the stream. Yeah, it was mostly focused on other players and not really the streaming aspect. This is about how my recordings usually go. But yeah. We stream weekends. Usually weekend nights. I'm almost tempted to move it to, like, weekend midday my time, because that tends to work better for other time zones. So I might actually move up to this time more often. I'm not sure. But we will see. We stream weekends, and then videos are up Fridays. So there's already one episode up of Passion SMP on YouTube, on my main channel, which is, if you're on Twitch, it's down below in the about. If this is on YouTube, I still have my chunk borders up. If this is on YouTube, then it's also down below in the description. So thank you all for joining me, and have a good one. Bye-bye! Oh wait, hold on, is Misty alive? Is Misty still alive? It says she is. Can we raid Misty? No, she's not. Never mind. Okay.